That's a good question. There are scarcely any project that you could execute, meaning bring to completion within a year. However, projects with the relocation of persons whose homes would have to be reconstructed. So that's time. Those issues that are close to people, close to the recovery and restoration of life and livelihood, those projects we want to get them right away, and by 20 we should be saying that is complete. That's my immediate
And were there any instances during and even the amendments made to the was brought up, or a suggestion was brought up, that you believed made what the bill became more robust than prior?
No legislation is perfect. Always a battle for the better view. And we don't shy away from robust debate about what is the better view. However, I found that much of what was proposed came from a place of mistrust, of fear, and ignorance. And the public's understanding of what we were trying to achieve. From my position, I gave the directive to my members that we must not lose sight of the objective of creating an institution that agility, speed, same time, respect the fundamental principles of fairness and competitiveness consultation. And I don't think these principles are at odds with speed. We just have to rethink how we get these things done. But it's clear to me that there are a set of Jamaicans who don't want to see speed. They believe that if it didn't take long, it wasn't well done. And we need to change that culture. But there are also a set of Jamaicans who don't want to see NARA, their political interest for NARA. They hide under all kinds of names, claim society when they are not activists by the name. And I stand here frankly and say that. To your question, were there amendments that made sense? Of course. And those that made it. For example, there was one comment about, properly resilience. I mean, it didn't change the fundamentals. Better bill in terms of the understanding of what is the government seeking to do for resilience. And there were others, but it didn't change the fundamentals of what the bill was seeking to achieve.
And lastly, as you said earlier about a change of culture, given what NARA is set, cutting some of that red tape and getting projects done quickly, do you see its success leading to a culture of all government agencies to maybe take a page out of NARA?
It's very difficult to have culture change in a country like Jamaica because you have to, first of all, pass the political barrier. I mean, even when something makes sense, even when it's logical, it gets trapped into the political quagmire. Now, in a sense, that's what makes our democracy strong, but it is also what makes us slow. And so if we're going to have culture change, we need to have a change in our things that are taken out of the political domain and we agree. And look, Trinidad has oil and natural gas. They have a natural resource. Guyana and Suriname, they have gas and they have a natural resource. Jamaica's bauxite, it's almost 50 years in, that is depleting. What is the resource that we have that is going to generate growth, that is going to fix the road, the hospital, in the minds of the people? All of these things can be fixed without paying attention to what we produce. And until we get people to understand that efficiency is a resource in the same way that oil is a resource. And it is so telling that countries that have oil, if you look at Dubai and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia and all of them, what do you think they're trying to do? Get more oil? No, what they're trying to do is get more efficient. They're trying to build infrastructure and develop systems to attract people to come and live in their country, make their society more efficient, because that is the biggest asset. And what are the things that help efficiency? Technology. That's number one. Number two, it is a culture of getting things done. And that is what we don't have in Jamaica. We argue and quibble about everything. If you look at the debates that have taken place, not one of them spoke about getting things done quickly. Not one. And until there is a pivot and a shift, and the people who are the blockers and who feel that they're only important if they obstruct, until you take them out of the equation and bring up people who say, let me get this thing done right away, and we will get it done efficiently, we will build quickly and we will build well. Until we get that change, then we will be stuck in the mode of the 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s, where we are only getting 1%, 2%, or no growth. Growth also requires a mindset shift.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Prime Minister. Sashana Small from the Gleaner. So there have been concerns about the bill, the oversight and the transparency mechanisms embedded in the bill. How confident are you in Anderson to carry out the mandate of this bill objectively? And you spoke extensively as well about the efficiency that this bill will bring forth in our reconstruction efforts. What are the timeframes that we're looking at, especially as you mentioned earlier, the projects that have to do with touching the people, reconstructing homes and so forth? What are the timeframes that we're looking at to start seeing the results of this bill?
I don't think you heard what I said, but you had to ask your question. So let me repeat what I said earlier. Let me put it in another way. Hopefully the Gleaner will carry it. Hopefully. Listen, Jamaica went through a period of time where it invested heavily in building out oversight and anti-corruption mechanisms. Jamaica, when compared to other countries in the region and even globally, has a very strong oversight and anti-corruption framework. Very strong. And we have recently strengthened that by empowering, standing up and resourcing the MOCA, because we don't pay enough attention to this other side of corruption and lack of oversight, things that are happening in the cyber world and organized crime. And that part of it, that's the most recent part, and they're doing very well in terms of ensuring that corruption does not impact the economy in a negative way. The Integrity Commission, they are doing their thing, and I don't speak about the Integrity Commission, so let me stop there. Then we have the PBMA, that is the Public Bodies Management Act, which is a very strong piece of legislation which governs how public bodies should conduct themselves. We have the FAA, which is the Financial Accounting and Administration Act. That one keeps not finding that one properly. The FAA, and then you have the Auditor General as well, and you have FID, and then policing all of that is the PAAC, that is the Public Appropriations and Accountability Committee, and headed by an opposition member. And then you have the PAC, right, which is also headed by an opposition member. So it's a very robust and comprehensive system of oversight and accountability. And then you're going to say to me, that when I set up a bill, I must now go and put in place another FAA. So the same provisions that are in the FAA and the PBMA that cut across all ministries and all legislation, I must go now and put those same things in this legislation. I must go and build another mechanism for the Auditor General, the FID, all, in other words, I must go and rebuild this again and create a very dense bureaucracy, which we expect to move quickly. It doesn't make sense. If we invested in building out this very robust framework where we spend billions of dollars every year trying to guarantee the country accountability and probity, and then we go and do that again, the people who are recommending this don't have our best interest at heart. Don't. Let the systems that are in place, let them work. While the systems that are supposed to deliver speed and efficiency, let them work. But don't come to us and say we are going to have to build this architecture each time over and over and over. That's why we're slow. You know, and it's not just Jamaica that is suffering from this. It's a global thing. You know, technocracy and bureaucracy are real. They have political interests. They are self-interested and vested. They get funding to do this. That's the hidden part of this that the country doesn't see. Nobody writes an article about that. And somehow everybody is so self-righteous to be the defenders when nobody's trying to defend the people who are in need of their homes quickly, the country needing growth. These things have to be said, and I say them unapologetically. And I'm prepared to tackle all of them who are going to come out of the woodwork to deal with my statements. I'm prepared to deal with you.
One last question. It's from a student. Yes, from UTEC.
Sure.
Good morning, Prime Minister. My name is Simonique Brown from the UTEC JA Students Union Council. And my question is, what safeguards do you have in measure? Because we know that NARA is now a law, not an act, right? What safeguards do you have in measure to ensure that our local contractors and workers will benefit from these projects?
Again, the local procurement legislation already defines a process by which local contractors get, I would say, an advantageous preference in some instances. So there is already a provision for that. Secondly, the issue of local contracting is one that we have to carefully think about. We have to carefully think about because we don't have the capacity in Jamaica to take on large enterprise scale contracts. And that is a challenge which is directly related to the slow pace of growth that we have had over the last 4 or 5 decades. We have contractors who are developing very well, and I can identify a number of contractors who are doing very well and who, in my opinion, are poised to become enterprise level global contractors because they are investing in their talent, they are investing in their management, they are investing in technology, and they are investing in equipment. For NARA to work, the employees of NARA are not the ones who are going to break the ground, lay the blocks, lay the pipes. Contractors are the ones who are going to do it. And if they lay pipes and they break and we have to go back and fix it again, that's going to delay the project. So we need contractors who will be able to lay the pipes the first time and they don't break. We need contractors who will be able to take on huge projects and not small projects all over the place. We need contractors who will cheat to mobilize and fund their operations without being almost over-reliant on the payouts of the government. And we don't have that as readily as we would like. But the question that you have asked is very important, because as a government, we need to engage the contractors to say, listen now, you are critical stakeholders and partners. Let us see how we can work together so that you can develop and then we get the skills. So government is very open and will lead this process of engaging with the contractors, because it's in our interest to have enterprise scale contractors. We want contractors who can operate at the highest level with the greatest efficiency. But unfortunately, it is widespread as we would like. But it's not for us to blame the contractors wholly. It is for us to say, with NARA in place, we're going to now need to set up a program where we can help you reach the enterprise scale so that you can compete globally and internationally with all the other firms for the contracts that NARA will issue.
Thank you, Prime Minister. And today it is the day we're announcing that the bill is an act. And so students, when you go back and you're going to explain to everyone what the Prime Minister and he showed looks like, and you saw the seal from the Governor General, so it's now law. And then the Prime Minister, the CEO of NARA, and we're about on a really historic time in Jamaica's history, and it's coming on a morning when next up is our Disaster Risk Management Council, because we are getting ready for another hurricane season. This administration is one that believes deep in God and knows is covering this country, but at the same time we know that God asks us to act, and that's what NARA is about, us understanding what the people in the West need and what our country needs to get to that space of development that we want. And so I thank you all for listening in this morning. Please listen in to the Disaster Risk Management Council. Also, so you can see how we're preparing for the next hurricane season under the of our Prime Minister. As I say to you, may God continue to bless this wonderful country, Jamaica, land we love. Thank you all.